Welcome, dear listener, to a calm journey through the wonders of our world. Tonight, we are going to explore 25 geography facts that may change how you see the Earth itself. These are not just numbers or trivia points, but stories, gentle reminders of how strange, vast, and extraordinary our planet truly is. Each fact will guide you across borders, oceans, mountains, and cities, weaving together culture, history, and nature in a way that feels like both travel and rest. If this is your first time joining, I invite you to settle in, take a deep breath, and simply let your mind wander wherever these facts may lead. And if you enjoy the way this video makes you feel it relaxes you, or teaches you something, you consider subscribing to the channel. You can even leave a comment with your country, city, and the time you are listening. It's always beautiful to see our little global community gathering across different time zones. Let us begin with something small yet mighty. Something that shows how even the tiniest speck of land can tell us enormous truths about the world. Our first fact is about Vatican City. This small, independent state, tucked inside Rome, is the world's smallest country, both in population and in land area. It is so compact that you can walk across it in less than an hour. Yet, despite its size, it has its own post office, currency, and even its own radio station. Imagine how this tiny patch of land, no larger than some city parks, plays a role in global religion, art, and history. Size, in geography, does not always measure influence. From the smallest country, lists move to something vast and boundless. The Pacific Ocean, covering more area than all of Earth's land combined. It is the largest single feature on our planet's surface. This enormous expanse of water holds more mysteries than we can fathom, home to uncharted trenches, island cultures, and trade routes that shaped human history. If you took all of the continents and placed them together, the Pacific would still be larger. It is a reminder of how much of Earth is still ocean, still wild, still waiting to be explored. Our third fact brings us to an extraordinary desert, Antarctica. Though most people think of deserts as sandy, Antarctica is technically the largest desert in the world. Its cold, dry climate means it receives less annual precipitation than the Sahara. Beneath its icy surface are hidden mountains and ancient lakes, sealed away for millions of years. Scientists believe these secret ecosystems may even hold clues to life beyond Earth, in places like Mars or the frozen moons of Jupiter. Geography, in this way, becomes a bridge between worlds. Now, let's travel north to Russia, a country so large it spans 11 time zones. It is the only nation where you could literally experience sunrise in one region, while another part of the same country is preparing for sunset. Think about the cultural and geographical diversity that comes with such scale-lush forests, frozen tundra, bustling cities, and remote villages, all held together under one border. The immensity of Russia gives us a humbling perspective on just how varied a single country can be. From one giant to another, we visit the Amazon rainforest in South America, often called the lungs of the Earth. This ecosystem produces a staggering portion of the world's oxygen, while hosting unparalleled biodiversity. Within it, scientists estimate there are still thousands of undiscovered species. The Amazon River, which winds through it, is so vast that at some points it is more than 30 miles wide during rainy season wide, enough that if you stood on one shore, you would not see the other. This single river system contains more water than the next 7 largest rivers combined. It is not just a river, but a beating heart of the planet. Each of these facts may sound almost unbelievable, but together they remind us of Earth's strange and wonderful balance. How the tiniest state, the largest ocean, the iciest desert, the widest river, and the most expansive nation are all part of a single world. Uncovering 25 insights that will make you pause and see Earth a little differently. As we continue our calm journey, let us lift our gaze upward, toward the mountains that shape both landscapes and legends. Mountains have always fascinated humanity's seen as sacred, as barriers, as homes of the gods, and as gateways to the unknown. They are not only stunning in their beauty, but also powerful reminders of Earth's restless geology. Consider Mount Everest, the tallest mountain above sea level, rising to 8,849 meters, or nearly 29,032 feet. For climbers, it represents the ultimate challenge, but Everest is still growing. Each year, the tectonic collision between India and Eurasia pushes it slightly higher, as if Earth itself is still sculpting its most dramatic masterpiece. Imagine standing at its summit would be closer to space than anywhere else on land. Yet, strangely enough, Everest is not the tallest mountain in the world if measured from base to peak. That honor belongs to Mauna Kea in Hawaii. Mauna Kea stretches more than 33,000 feet from its base on the ocean floor to its peak. Though only about 13,800 feet rise above sea level, this volcano, sacred to native Hawaiians, shows us how geography is a matter of perspective. From one angle, Everest wins. From another, a quiet Hawaiian volcano takes the crown. Facts like these remind us that truth often depends on how you choose to measure it. Now, let us travel to the Andes, the longest continental mountain range on Earth. Spanning over 7,000 kilometers across South America. Within the Andes lies Lake Titicaca, often described as the highest navigable lake in the world. Its shimmering waters sit at an elevation of 3,812 meters, straddling the border between Peru and Bolivia. Local legends describe it as the birthplace of the Inca civilization, a cradle of culture nestled among the clouds. From the Andes, we glide over to Africa's Mount Kilimanjaro. Unlike ranges that sprawl across thousands of miles, Kilimanjaro rises alone, a solitary giant on the Tanzanian plains. At 5,895 meters, it is the highest freestanding mountain in the world. Its snow-capped peak is iconic, though shrinking due to climate change. Kilimanjaro tells a story not only of natural wonder, but also of fragility. How human activity can even reach the heights of Africa's crown. Let us pause for a moment on the cultural weight of mountains. Many have spiritual significance. Mount Fuji in Japan is more than a volcanic peak. It is a sacred symbol of purity and inspiration. Its nearly perfect cone has been immortalized in paintings, poems, and pilgrimages for centuries. Thousands climb it every year, not only to witness its sunrise, but also to connect with something transcendent. Now, a more unusual fact. The tallest cliff face on Earth is not where you might expect. It is Mount Thor, located on Baffin Island in Canada's Arctic region. This vertical granite wall plunges 1,250 meters straight down, making it the world's greatest vertical drop. To imagine standing at its edge is to feel the dizzying scale of Earth's raw geological power. Climbers test themselves against it, though most of us are content just to marvel from afar. Even more astonishing is that mountains exist far beneath the ocean. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, an underwater mountain chain, is the longest on Earth, stretching more than 40,000 miles. These submerged peaks are hidden from view, yet they shape currents, ecosystems, and even the stability of continents. Most of our mountains, it seems, live unseen beneath the sea. So as we think of Mountains Everest, Mauna Kea, Kilimanjaro, Fuji, and Thor, we are reminded of how geography shapes imagination as much as it does terrain. Mountains are storytellers, rising from Earth to remind us of time, culture, and change. And with that, let us gently descend from these heights and turn our eyes toward the flowing rivers that carve through valleys and cities, sustaining life wherever they run. Now we flow gently from towering peaks into the winding courses of rivers, those lifelines that carry both water and history. Rivers are not just geographical features. They are the veins of Earth, nourishing landscapes, sustaining economies, and giving birth to civilizations. The Nile River is perhaps the most famous of them all. At about 6,650 kilometers, or 4,130 miles, it is often called the longest river in the world. Flowing northward through 11 African countries before reaching the Mediterranean Sea. For ancient Egypt, the Nile was more than a river. It was the source of life itself. Its annual floods deposited rich, fertile silt that allowed agriculture to flourish in an otherwise arid desert. Without the Nile, the pyramids, temples, and culture of Egypt might never have existed. Even today, millions depend on its waters, as cities like Cairo rise along its banks. But the Amazon River rivals the Nile in grandeur. While slightly shorter in length, depending on measurements, it carries more water than any other river on Earth. In fact, the Amazon releases enough fresh water into the Atlantic Ocean each day to supply New York City's water needs for 9 years. Its basin covers an area larger than the entire European Union, supporting the greatest diversity of species found anywhere on land. When you think of the Amazon, imagine a river so powerful it literally shapes the climate of South America, drawing rain clouds across a continent. Not all rivers are mighty in size, but each is mighty in influence. Take the Ganges in India, stretching 2,525 kilometers. Beyond its role as a source of irrigation and transport, it is sacred in Hinduism, believed to purify the soul of those who bathe in it. Millions gather along its banks each year for religious festivals, blending geography with faith in a way that has lasted millennia. Meanwhile, in China, the Yangtze River, stretching over 6,300 kilometers, sustains more people than any other river on Earth. It is the third longest river in the world, flowing from the Tibetan Plateau to the East China Sea. The Yangtze is an engine of modern industry, transportation, and energy. The massive Three Gorges Dam, one of the most ambitious engineering projects in history, spans its waters. Yet, alongside this modern might, the Yangtze remains tied to ancient Chinese poetry, art, and philosophy. Let us also drift to Europe, where the Danube flows through 10 countries, more than any other river in the world. From Germany's Black Forest to the Black Sea, it winds past capitals like Vienna, Budapest, and Belgrade. Once a frontier of the Roman Empire, it is now a cultural highway, connecting the heart of Europe through trade, tourism, and history. On the other side of the world, the Mississippi River dominates North America. At 3,766 kilometers, it is the backbone of American history, commerce, and folklore. Paddle steamers, jazz music, and Mark Twain's stories have all found inspiration along its muddy waters. Even today, the Mississippi transports more than 175 million tons of freight each year, making it vital to the U.S. economy. For a more curious fact, consider Russia's Lena River, which flows north into the Arctic Ocean. Unlike most rivers that empty into warmer seas, in winter it freezes so solid that locals once used it as a winter highway. Or think of Africa's Congo River, second only to the Amazon in water volume. It is also the world's deepest river, with measured depths of more than 220 meters. Beneath its surface, scientists have discovered fish species adapted to near total darkness. Creatures that remind us how little we know about the world's hidden ecosystems. These rivers, Nile, Amazon, Ganges, Yangtze, Danube, Mississippi, Lena, and Congo, are more than streams of water. They are stories carved into the land, each carrying culture, economy, and memory along its flow. As the rivers guide us across continents, let us now turn to another force that reshapes the world in a different way: the deserts. Vast seas of sand and stone, where silence speaks louder than rivers, and survival tells its own remarkable story. Now, let us step from the flowing rivers into the vast stillness of deserts. Those seemingly empty landscapes that hold surprising stories of survival, beauty, and extremes. Deserts cover about 1/3 of Earth's land surface, but they are not all seas of sand, as many imagine. Each one has its own personality, carved by wind, time, and temperature. The Sahara Desert, stretching across North Africa, is perhaps the most famous. Covering 9.2 million square kilometers, it is nearly the size of the United States or China. While many picture endless dunes, only about 20% of the Sahara is sandy. The rest is rocky plateaus, gravel plains, and even mountains. Temperatures can soar above 50 degrees Celsius, yet it is not lifeless. The Sahara is home to desert foxes, camels, and hardy plants that survive with little water. Historically, it was not just a barrier, but also a bridge traversed by caravans carrying gold, salt, and knowledge across Africa. From Africa, we move east to Asia's Gobi Desert. Unlike the Sahara, the Gobi is cold. Winters bring snow, and temperatures can plummet to -40 degrees Celsius. It stretches across Mongolia and northern China, where nomadic herders still live with traditions passed down for centuries. Beneath its barren plains, archaeologists have uncovered dinosaur fossils, making it one of the world's richest paleontological sites. In this way, the Gobi connects the past of Earth's creatures with the present of human resilience. Even more extreme is the Atacama Desert in Chile. Known as the driest desert on Earth, some weather stations there have never recorded rainfall. Its soil is so arid that NASA has studied it as an earthly analog to Mars. Yet, in rare years, when rains do arrive, the Atacama blooms into a sea of wildflowers, transforming the barren land into a fleeting paradise. Then there is Antarctica, often forgotten as a desert, because it is covered in ice rather than sand. But by definition, it is the largest desert in the world, receiving less precipitation than the Sahara. Its endless white expanses, sculpted by winds, are as silent as space. Here, penguins huddle for warmth, and scientists study climate patterns locked in ice cores, revealing secrets of Earth's past atmosphere. In North America, the Mojave Desert introduces us to landscapes of cacti, mesas, and red canyons. Here lies Death Valley, the hottest place on Earth, where temperatures once reached 56.7 degrees Celsius. Yet, within this harsh environment thrives a delicate ecosystem, from desert tortoises to blooming Joshua trees. Tourism here has created a different kind of economy, where millions visit to experience its rugged beauty. Australia offers the Great Victoria Desert, a sprawling landscape of red dunes and sparse vegetation. Indigenous communities have lived here for tens of thousands of years, adapting with remarkable knowledge of plants, water sources, and the rhythms of the land. In this desert, human culture and geography intertwine in a profound way. Deserts remind us that emptiness is often an illusion. Beneath the silence, there are stories of adaptation, from camels carrying trade routes across the Sahara, to lichens clinging to Antarctic rocks, to indigenous traditions guiding survival in the outback. Each desert is a classroom, teaching us about resilience, climate, and the thin line between survival and disappearance. As we leave the deserts, let us rise once more, this time not into mountains or rivers, but into the sky itself toward the clouds and winds that form Earth's astonishing weather systems, where geography dances with atmosphere. Above us lies a world as mysterious as the oceans and as vast as the deserts, yet it is one we often take for granted: the atmosphere. This invisible shield of gases not only sustains life, but also creates some of the most breathtaking and surprising phenomena. Consider clouds. Those drifting sculptures in the sky. They might look light and fluffy, but a single cumulus cloud can weigh over 1 million pounds because it contains countless droplets of water. High above, cirrus clouds stretch like delicate brushstrokes across the sky, while storm clouds, towering cumulonimbus formations, can rise as tall as Mount Everest, carrying the power to unleash lightning, hail, and torrential rain. Speaking of lightning, here is a strange fact. There is a place in Venezuela called Lake Maracaibo, where lightning storms happen almost every night of the year. Known as the Catatumbo lightning, this natural spectacle can strike thousands of times in a single night, lighting up the sky like a cosmic fireworks display. Scientists believe this phenomenon is caused by unique wind patterns and the shape of the surrounding mountains, turning the lake into a stage for one of nature's greatest shows. Travel north, and you may encounter one of Earth's most mesmerizing wonders, the auroras. The northern lights, or aurora borealis, shimmer across the Arctic sky in curtains of green, pink, and purple, created by charged solar particles colliding with Earth's magnetic field. In the southern hemisphere, the aurora australis offers an equally dazzling display. These lights remind us of our connection to the sun, a cosmic dance bridging space and Earth's skies. But weather is not always gentle or beautiful. The geography of land and sea shapes storms of staggering force. The warm waters of tropical oceans give rise to hurricanes and typhoons, massive rotating storms that can stretch hundreds of kilometers wide. For instance, Typhoon Tip, which struck in 1979, remains the largest recorded storm on Earth, with a diameter nearly twice the length of the United States. Yet, even in these terrifying forces of nature, we find lessons in resilience, adaptation, and the importance of studying climate and weather systems for the sake of human safety. Extreme temperatures also shape life on Earth. In Oymyakon, Siberia, the coldest inhabited place on Earth, winter temperatures can plunge below minus 50 degrees Celsius. Residents there adapt with fur clothing, heated homes, and diets rich in warm, fatty foods to survive the relentless chill. On the opposite side of the spectrum, desert valleys like Lut in Iran or Death Valley in California hold heat records that test the endurance of every living thing. Rainfall, too, varies dramatically. In Mawsynram, India, geography funnels moist monsoon winds in such a way that the region receives an average of 11 meters of rain per year. Villagers there have adapted by building bridges out of living tree roots, which grow stronger with age, blending human ingenuity with the forces of nature. Even wind carries mysteries. The fastest wind speeds ever recorded occurred inside a tornado in Oklahoma, reaching more than 480 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, katabatic winds in Antarctica sweep across icy plateaus with relentless force, shaping the frozen landscape. And yet, amidst the extremes of storms, winds, and lightning, there is a soothing rhythm to the steady cycle of seasons. Geography dictates how sunlight touches Earth, giving us long, endless summer days in the Arctic Circle, while at the equator, the sun rises and sets at nearly the same time each day, with little variation in temperature. This cycle, eternal and reliable, reminds us of Earth's balance, a harmony that allows life to flourish. The skies and weather above are not just forces to be endured, but wonders to be marveled at, shaping human culture, economy, and travel. Farmers depend on rainfall, sailors on winds, and travelers on predictable skies. Our ancestors looked up to the heavens for guidance, and even now we find comfort in watching clouds drift or stars sparkle beyond the atmosphere. As we leave the skies behind, let us journey downward, again this time beneath the surface, into Earth's hidden underground realms of caves, caverns, and deep mysteries waiting in the dark. Beneath our feet lies a world as strange and awe-inspiring as the highest mountains or the widest oceans. It is a realm of darkness, silence, and hidden beauty, shaped over millions of years by water, pressure, and time. Caves are the gateways to this underground world. One of the largest, the Essen Cave in Vietnam, is so vast that it could house an entire city block of skyscrapers. Inside, jungles grow under collapsed ceilings where sunlight filters through, and underground rivers carve paths through its chambers. The scale of this cavern makes visitors feel as if they've stepped into a secret world untouched by time. Other caves are filled with extraordinary crystal formations. Deep in Mexico, the Cave of the Crystals holds some of the largest crystals ever discovered, towering gypsum pillars that stretch up to 12 meters long. Walking among them feels like entering a palace built not by humans, but by the earth itself. These structures, formed under conditions of intense heat and mineral-rich water, reminding us of the hidden artistry of geology. But caves are not just physical spaces. They hold stories of human history. The Chauvet Cave in France preserves some of the oldest known cave paintings, dating back over 30,000 years. These images of animals and handprints connect us directly to ancient humans who sought refuge in these underground shelters and used their walls as canvases to tell their stories. Sinkholes, another underground phenomenon, reveal Earth's secrets in dramatic fashion. In places like Guatemala, massive sinkholes have swallowed entire streets in the heart of cities, caused by collapsing limestone beneath the surface. Yet, in rural areas, sinkholes can create beautiful natural pools known as cenotes, particularly in Mexico's peninsula. These crystal-clear waters, once sacred to the Maya, now invite travelers to swim and connect with an ancient landscape. If we venture even deeper, we find the world of subterranean rivers and lakes. In Croatia's Velebit mountain range, rivers vanish into limestone and reappear miles away, a reminder that water carves its own hidden pathways. In Dragon's Breath Cave in Namibia, the world's largest underground lake lies so deep that divers have barely begun to explore its mysteries. Underground life also flourishes in surprising ways. Entire ecosystems exist without sunlight, sustained by minerals and chemical reactions. In Lechuguilla Cave in New Mexico, microbes thrive in extreme conditions, offering scientists clues about how life might survive on other planets. These hidden worlds remind us that the boundaries of life are far more flexible than we once believed. Even human settlements have embraced the underground. In Cappadocia, Turkey, ancient people carved entire underground cities into soft volcanic rock. These complexes, complete with tunnels, chapels, and ventilation shafts, provided refuge during times of invasion and are still awe-inspiring today. Similarly, in Australia's Coober Pedy, residents live in dugouts, homes carved into the earth to escape the scorching desert heat above. From vast caves filled with forests to underground cities built by human hands, the depths beneath us are places of both survival and wonder. They show us that Earth is not only shaped on its surface, but also sculpted below in ways both practical and fantastical. As we rise back from these hidden realms, let us turn our gaze to one of Earth's most defining forces, the rivers that connect mountains to seas, nourishing civilizations and carving the landscapes we call home. Throughout history, rivers have been the silent architects of human civilization. They flow through landscapes, shaping valleys, nourishing fertile plains and connecting communities across vast distances. To follow the journey of a river is to follow the story of both nature and humanity. The Nile, often called the lifeblood of Egypt, is the world's longest river. For thousands of years, its seasonal floods deposited nutrient-rich silt on its banks, creating the fertile ground that allowed one of the world's greatest ancient civilizations to flourish. Without the Nile, the pyramids, temples, and bustling cities of ancient Egypt would never have existed. Even today, the river supports millions of people, weaving culture, economy, and daily life together in a continuous thread. Meanwhile, the Amazon River in South America holds another record. Is the largest river by volume. Its waters pour more into the ocean than the next 7 largest rivers combined. This mighty river flows through the Amazon rainforest, home to an estimated 10% of all known species on Earth. Each tributary and hidden bend of the Amazon is like a breathing artery of life, sustaining ecosystems and indigenous communities that have thrived for centuries in harmony with its rhythms. In Europe, the Danube River carries with it the stories of 10 countries, making it the most international river in the world, flowing through cities like Vienna, Budapest, and Belgrade. The Danube is not just a waterway, but a corridor of history, connecting empires, trade routes, and cultures for centuries. Today, luxury river cruises drift along its scenic banks, where castles and vineyards rise from hillsides, blending modern tourism with timeless heritage. Some rivers inspire wonder not because of their size, but because of their color. In Colombia, the Cano Crystals is often called the river of 5 colors or liquid rainbow. During certain months of the year, aquatic plants bloom beneath its crystal-clear waters, painting the riverbed in shades of red, yellow, green, blue, and black. The effect is surreal, as if nature has spilled its palette across the flowing water. In India, the Brahmaputra swells during the monsoon season, sometimes widening to an incredible 24 kilometers across. Its floods can be destructive, yet they also renew the land, supporting agriculture in a region where countless people depend on its cycles. And then there are rivers like China's Yellow River, often called the cradle of Chinese civilization. For centuries, its waters have supported farming, trade, and settlement. Yet the river is also known as China's sorrow, due to its history of devastating floods. Its story reflects the dual nature of rivers, both life-giving and dangerous, both creators and destroyers. Not all rivers are ancient in their flow. The Okavango River in Africa ends not in the sea, but in the sands of Botswana, where it forms the Okavango Delta. This unique inland delta becomes a paradise for wildlife, drawing elephants, lions, and countless birds to its shifting waters. Its existence reminds us that rivers shape ecosystems in ways far beyond human settlements. Even beneath the earth, rivers flow unseen. In Slovenia, the Reka River disappears into the Cocking Caves, creating an underground spectacle of waterfalls and chambers before re-emerging miles away. These hidden waterways show us that rivers do not simply carve the land, they disappear, resurface, and reshape in ways that defy simple explanation. Rivers are more than geography. They are symbols of time, constantly flowing, always moving forward. They remind us of the impermanence of all things, even as they carve valleys that last for millions of years. As we leave the currents behind, we journey to the towering peaks that rise above the earth, symbols of strength, resilience, and the sheer power of natural forces. Mountains, the giants of our planet's landscape. When most people hear the word desert, they imagine endless rolling dunes of golden sand under a blazing sun. They are landscapes of extremes, filled with paradoxes, vast emptiness that hides delicate forms of life, scorching days that give way to freezing nights, and apparent stillness that masks histories of shifting winds, migrations, and survival. The Sahara Desert in Africa is perhaps the most famous. Stretching across 11 countries, it is nearly the size of the United States. To cross the Sahara is to enter an ocean of sand, dunes rising and falling like waves frozen in time. Yet, the Sahara was not always this way. Thousands of years ago, it was lush, filled with rivers and grasslands, home to ancient cultures that left behind rock paintings of animals that could never survive there today. This tells us that Earth's climate has always been in motion, shaping landscapes and forcing civilizations to adapt. But the Sahara is not just sand. Rocky plateaus, dry valleys, and mountains also break its surface. In fact, the highest peak in the Sahara, Mount Eme Kuzi in Chad, rises over 3,400 meters. And hidden within this desert, places where underground water rises to the surface, creating islands of life amid the barren stretches. These oases are lifelines for both people and wildlife, proving that even in scarcity, life finds a way. Beyond the Sahara lies another great desert, the Arabian Desert, stretching across the Middle East. Here, culture and geography intertwine deeply. For centuries, caravans crossed these lands, carrying luxury goods such as silk, spices, and incense. The desert became a stage for human resilience, where nomadic tribes developed traditions that continue to shape the cultural identity of the region. The Arabian Desert is also a place where ancient cities emerged, built around the delicate balance of water and sand. Today, modern cities such as Riyadh and Dubai rise near its edges, blending futuristic technology with ancient geography. Moving east, the Gobi Desert in Mongolia and China offers a different face of desolation. Instead of towering dunes, much of the Gobi is stone and gravel, a place of freezing winters and scorching summers. The Gobi is rich in history. Once part of the Silk Road, it witnessed the flow of cultures, economies, and ideas across Asia. But it is also a treasure trove of paleontological discoveries. Dinosaur fossils, including eggs, were first unearthed in the Gobi, offering scientists a glimpse into the prehistoric world. What seems lifeless is, in truth, a library of Earth's deep past. Not all deserts are hot. Antarctica, astonishingly, is the largest desert on Earth, classified as such because of its extreme dryness. Antarctica receives less precipitation than the Sahara. Beneath its vast sheets of ice lies a frozen desert where only the hardiest of life survives. And yet, this barren land holds 70% of the planet's freshwater reserves in its glaciers. Antarctica's role in global climate and sea levels makes it one of the most critical regions for scientists and educators. A reminder that deserts are not simply wastelands, but vital components of Earth's systems. Similarly, the Arctic, though often thought of as an icy wilderness, is also considered a cold desert. Polar bears, seals, and resilient indigenous cultures thrive in conditions most of us would find unbearable. These deserts of ice remind us that geography is not just about landforms, it is about survival, adaptation, and connection between humans and nature. Some deserts are strange and surreal, almost dreamlike in their beauty. The Atacama Desert in Chile is the driest non-polar desert in the world. Some parts of it have not seen rain for hundreds of years. Astronomers build observatories there because the skies are among the clearest on Earth, free of clouds and moisture. At night, the desert becomes a window to the stars, a reminder that deserts connect us not only to the earth beneath our feet, but also to the heavens above. Life in deserts takes surprising forms. Cacti store water in their thick stems, while animals like camels have adapted to survive for long stretches without drinking. Insects and reptiles have developed fascinating ways to regulate their temperature. Even humans have created ingenious systems. From Cainit's underground, channels built to carry water in Persia, to adobe dwellings that remain cool despite the blistering heat. Deserts teach us innovation born of necessity. Economically, deserts play a powerful role in our modern world. Beneath the sands of the Arabian Desert lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that fuel global industries, economies, and technology. The Sahara, too, holds enormous potential for solar energy, with projects envisioning deserts as powerhouses for clean energy that could support millions of people. What seems barren, in truth, may hold the key to the future of travel, luxury lifestyles, and global development. Culturally, deserts inspire art, poetry, and legend, from the ancient Egyptian tales along the Nile's desert banks to the Arabian Nights filled with magic and mystery. Deserts have always represented both danger and beauty. They symbolize journeys of transformation, where travelers confront both external harshness and their own inner landscapes. There are also deserts of color and wonder. Namibia's Namib Desert stretches along the Atlantic coast, its towering red dunes, some of the tallest in the world. The shifting sands seem to glow at sunrise and sunset, creating one of the most photogenic landscapes on Earth. And in Bolivia, the Salar de Uyuni is not a desert of sand, but of salt. This enormous salt flat, formed from the evaporation of ancient lakes, creates a dazzling white expanse that reflects the sky when it rains, turning the land into a natural mirror. Standing there feels like floating between heaven and earth, a surreal reminder of the strange creativity of geology. Even deserts, often seen as symbols of lifelessness, pulse with hidden vitality. After rare rains, flowers bloom across the Atacama in a phenomenon known as the Desierto Florido. In one of the driest places on Earth, an explosion of color transforms the landscape, a brief and stunning reminder that life persists against all odds. Deserts also hold mysteries that we still struggle to understand. In the Sahara, the Richat structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, is a massive circular formation visible from space. Scientists debate whether it was formed by erosion, a meteor impact, or ancient volcanic activity. Its concentric rings make it one of the most bizarre geological features on the planet, fueling theories both scientific and mythical. As the winds blow across these silent seas of sand and stone, deserts remind us that emptiness can be profound, that scarcity can give rise to resilience, and that even in apparent stillness, the earth is alive with hidden stories. From the dryness of deserts, our journey next moves to the abundance of water. Rivers, lakes, and oceans shape civilizations and provide life, carving paths through landscapes and histories alike. Where deserts test survival through scarcity, rivers nourished by abundance, and in their flow, they carry not just water, but culture, travel, and connection. When most people hear the word desert, they imagine endless rolling dunes of golden sand under a blazing sun. They are landscapes of extremes, filled with paradoxes, vast emptiness that hides delicate forms of life, scorching days that give way to freezing nights, and apparent stillness that masks histories of shifting winds, migrations, and survival. The Sahara Desert in Africa is perhaps the most famous. Stretching across 11 countries, it is nearly the size of the United States. To cross the Sahara is to enter an ocean of sand, dunes rising and falling like waves frozen in time. Yet, the Sahara was not always this way. Thousands of years ago, it was lush, filled with rivers and grasslands, home to ancient cultures that left behind rock paintings of animals that could never survive there today. This tells us that Earth's climate has always been in motion, shaping landscapes and forcing civilizations to adapt. But the Sahara is not just sand. Rocky plateaus, dry valleys, and mountains also break its surface. In fact, the highest peak in the Sahara, Mount Eme Kuzi in Chad, rises over 3,400 meters. And hidden within this desert, places where underground water rises to the surface, creating islands of life amid the barren stretches. These oases are lifelines for both people and wildlife, proving that even in scarcity, life finds a way. Beyond the Sahara lies another great desert, the Arabian Desert, stretching across the Middle East. Here, culture and geography intertwine deeply. For centuries, caravans crossed these lands, carrying luxury goods such as silk, spices, and incense. The desert became a stage for human resilience, where nomadic tribes developed traditions that continue to shape the cultural identity of the region. The Arabian Desert is also a place where ancient cities emerged, built around the delicate balance of water and sand. Today, modern cities such as Riyadh and Dubai rise near its edges, blending futuristic technology with ancient geography. Moving east, the Gobi Desert in Mongolia and China offers a different face of desolation. Instead of towering dunes, much of the Gobi is stone and gravel, a place of freezing winters and scorching summers. The Gobi is rich in history. Once part of the Silk Road, it witnessed the flow of cultures, economies, and ideas across Asia. But it is also a treasure trove of paleontological discoveries. Dinosaur fossils, including eggs, were first unearthed in the Gobi, offering scientists a glimpse into the prehistoric world. What seems lifeless is, in truth, a library of Earth's deep past. Not all deserts are hot. Antarctica, astonishingly, is the largest desert on Earth, classified as such because of its extreme dryness. Antarctica receives less precipitation than the Sahara. Beneath its vast sheets of ice lies a frozen desert where only the hardiest of life survives. And yet, this barren land holds 70% of the planet's freshwater reserves in its glaciers. Antarctica's role in global climate and sea levels makes it one of the most critical regions for scientists and educators. A reminder that deserts are not simply wastelands, but vital components of Earth's systems. Similarly, the Arctic, though often thought of as an icy wilderness, is also considered a cold desert. Polar bears, seals, and resilient indigenous cultures thrive in conditions most of us would find unbearable. These deserts of ice remind us that geography is not just about landforms, it's about survival, adaptation, and connection between humans and nature. Some deserts are strange and surreal, almost dreamlike in their beauty. The Atacama Desert in Chile is the driest non-polar desert in the world. Some parts of it have not seen rain for hundreds of years. Astronomers build observatories there because the skies are among the clearest on Earth, free of clouds and moisture. At night, the desert becomes a window to the stars, a reminder that deserts connect us not only to the earth beneath our feet, but also to the heavens above. Life in deserts takes surprising forms. Cacti store water in their thick stems, while animals, like camels, have adapted to survive for long stretches without drinking. Insects and reptiles have developed fascinating ways to regulate their temperature. Even humans have created ingenious systems. From Canet's underground channels built to carry water in Persia, to adobe dwellings that remain cool despite the blistering heat. Deserts teach us innovation born of necessity. Economically, deserts play a powerful role in our modern world. Beneath the sands of the Arabian Desert lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that fuel global industries, economies, and technology. The Sahara, too, holds enormous potential for solar energy, with projects envisioning deserts as powerhouses for clean energy that could support millions of people. What seems barren, in truth, may hold the key to the future of travel, luxury lifestyles, and global development. Culturally, deserts inspire art, from the ancient Egyptian tales along the Nile's desert banks to the Arabian Nights filled with magic and mystery, always represented both danger and beauty. They symbolize journeys of transformation, where travelers confront both external harshness and their own inner landscapes. There are also deserts of color and wonder. Namibi's Namib Desert stretches along the Atlantic coast. Its towering red dunes, some of the tallest in the world. The shifting sands seem to glow at sunrise and sunset, creating one of the most photogenic landscapes on Earth. And in Bolivia, the Salar de Uyuni is not a desert of sand, but of salt. This enormous salt flat, formed from the evaporation of ancient lakes, creates a dazzling white expanse that reflects the sky when it rains, turning the land into a natural mirror. Standing there feels like floating between heaven and earth, a surreal reminder of the strange creativity of geology. Even deserts often seen as symbols of lifelessness, pulse with hidden vitality. After rare rains, flowers bloom across the Atacama in a phenomenon known as the Deserto Florido. In one of the driest places on Earth, an explosion of color transforms the landscape. A brief and stunning reminder that life persists against all odds. Deserts also hold mysteries that we still struggle to understand. In the Sahara, the rich structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, is a massive circular formation visible from space. Scientists debate whether it was formed by erosion, a meteor impact, or ancient volcanic activity. Its concentric rings make it one of the most bizarre geological features on the planet, fueling theories, both scientific and mythical. As the winds blow across these silent seas of sand and stone, deserts remind us that emptiness can be profound, that scarcity can give rise to resilience, and that, even in apparent stillness, the earth is alive with hidden stories. From the dryness of deserts, our journey next moves to the abundance of water. Rivers, lakes, and oceans shape civilizations and provide life, carving paths through landscapes and histories alike. Where deserts test survival through scarcity, rivers nourish by abundance. And in their flow, they carry not just water, but culture, travel, and connection. If deserts are the earth's silent seas, then rivers are its flowing veins. From the smallest trickle in a mountain stream to the mighty torrents of the world's longest rivers, these waterways have always been the lifelines of civilization. They nourish land, feed people, and create connections between distant places. To follow a river's course is to trace both the geography of Earth and the history of humanity. Let us begin with the Nile, a river so iconic that it is almost synonymous with the story of civilization itself. At over 6,600 kilometers long, the Nile winds through 11 modern-day countries before emptying into the Mediterranean Sea. Ancient Egypt was born along its fertile banks, where the annual flooding left behind nutrient-rich silt that allowed crops to flourish in what otherwise would have been desert. The rhythm of the Nile dictated the rhythm of Egyptian life. Temples, cities, and monumental architecture rose because this river sustained them. Without the Nile, there would have been no pyramids, no hieroglyphs, no civilization that still captivates the imagination thousands of years later. Today, it continues to support millions, supplying water, food, and energy to rapidly growing populations. Modern dams, like the Aswan High Dam, control its flow, bringing both benefits and challenges: hydroelectric power on one hand, but ecological disruption on the other. The Nile teaches us that rivers are both gifts and responsibilities. Across the world, in South America, flows another giant, the Amazon. While the Nile is technically longer, the Amazon carries more water than any other river on Earth. It discharges about 1/5 of all the fresh water flowing into the world's oceans. Its basin, sprawling across 9 countries, is home to the largest rainforest on the planet, a treasure trove of biodiversity. The Amazon is sometimes called the lungs of the earth, as its trees help regulate global climate and absorb carbon dioxide. Yet this river is also fragile, threatened by deforestation, climate change, and development. Culturally, the Amazon is more than geography. Indigenous tribes have lived along its banks for thousands of years, developing knowledge systems perfectly adapted to the forest and river. Their traditions, myths, and ways of life remind us that rivers are not only physical resources, but also spiritual and cultural anchors. The Amazon is not just water flowing through land. It is a world unto itself. In Asia, the Ganges River flows as both a physical and spiritual lifeline. Originating in the Himalayas, the Ganges carries glacial waters down into the plains of India and Bangladesh, sustaining one of the most densely populated regions on Earth, but for millions. The Ganges is not only a source of life, but also a goddess revered in Hindu tradition as sacred. Pilgrims travel to its banks for purification and rituals, weaving together faith, culture, and geography. However, the Ganges also faces the dual challenge of pollution and overuse. Like the Nile and the Amazon, it is a reminder that our relationship with rivers must balance reverence with responsibility. Then there is the Yangtze River of China, the third longest river in the world and the longest in Asia for centuries. It has been the backbone of Chinese agriculture, culture, and economy. Today, the Yangtze is also a powerhouse of modern development, home to the Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydroelectric project on the planet. This dam generates immense amounts of clean energy, but has also displaced millions and altered ecosystems. The Yangtze embodies the complexity of progress, where the need for technology and energy intersects with history and nature. But rivers are not always enormous to be important. The Danube, flowing across Central and Eastern Europe, links 10 countries, serving as a ribbon of connection through diverse cultures, languages, and histories. Cities like Vienna, Budapest, and Belgrade stand proudly on its banks, testaments to the river's role as both a highway for trade and a muse for art. In classical music, Strauss's Blue Danube immortalized the river's romantic charm, turning geography into cultural expression. Smaller rivers, too, shape lives. The Thames in England may not rival the Nile in length, but it has been central to London's history and identity. It carried Roman ships, medieval traders, and industrial barges, all while inspiring poets and painters. The Thames illustrates that rivers, no matter their size, often become symbols of the places they nourish. Beyond human use, rivers are ecosystems in themselves. The Mekong in Southeast Asia supports a vast array of fish species, providing food and economy for millions. The Congo River, with its powerful currents, is home to unique aquatic species found nowhere else. Rivers are more than geography, are arteries of life that sustain entire webs of nature, from fish to forests to human settlements. Strangely enough, not all rivers reach the sea. Some disappear into deserts, lakes, or underground systems. The Okavango River in Botswana ends not in an ocean, but in a vast inland delta, creating one of the most extraordinary wildlife habitats on Earth. Elephants, hippos, and countless bird species thrive in this seasonal floodplain, an oasis of abundance in the midst of dry savannas. Geography sometimes surprises us with endings at all, but transformations. Rivers also hold mysteries and unusual characteristics. In Colombia, the Cano crystals, often called the River of Five Colors, becomes a natural rainbow during certain months when aquatic plants bloom in shades of red, yellow, green, blue, and black. Flowing over rocks and under waterfalls, it looks like a painting come to life, a reminder that the planet's geography is capable of breathtaking artistry. There are even rivers beneath the ocean. Yes, within the Gulf of Mexico, dense, salty water flows along the seafloor, creating underwater rivers complete with banks, rapids, and currents. These submarine rivers, though invisible to most of us, mirror the ones we know on land, expanding our understanding of how water shapes environments in unexpected ways. Historically, rivers have decided where cities rise, where borders fall, and where trade flows. Paris grew along the Seine, Moscow on the Moskva, and Cairo by the Nile. Without rivers, many of the world's greatest cities might not exist. Economies flourished because rivers made transportation and agriculture possible. In this way, rivers are not simply natural features. They are the architects of civilization. Today, rivers continue to influence global culture, economy, and travel. Luxury river cruises glide along the Rhine, offering travelers a slow, scenic journey through castles, vineyards, and charming towns. Tourism along rivers combines leisure with history, culture with nature. This blending of geography and human experience ensures that rivers remain at the heart of how we see the world. And yet, rivers are fragile. Pollution, dams, overfishing, and climate change threaten their flows. The disappearance of glaciers in the Himalayas, for example, directly affects the Ganges, Yangtze, and Mekong. As climate changes, rivers may swell with floods or shrink into dry beds, altering ecosystems and human lives alike. Protecting rivers means protecting the very systems that sustain us. As we drift with the rivers of the world, from sacred waters to hidden deltas, we come to see them not only as physical entities, but as metaphors. They represent continuity, change, and connection. They remind us that life itself is a flow, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, but always moving forward. Now, having journeyed through deserts and rivers, we will turn our attention to the mountains. These giants of stone and ice rise like guardians over the landscape, shaping climates, cultures, and myths. Where rivers flow gently, mountains stand immovable. And in their peaks and valleys, they hold some of the most astonishing geography facts of all. If rivers are the lifeblood of our world, then mountains are its towering guardians, silent watchers that rise above the clouds and shape both land and spirit. For as long as humans have walked the earth, mountains have fascinated us. They have been places of worship, barriers to migration, challenges to explorers, and marvels of nature that evoke both awe and humility. Mountains cover about 1/5 of the Earth's surface, and nearly 1 in 10 people lives in a mountain region. Yet, their influence extends far beyond their slopes. They regulate climate, give birth to rivers, and shelter biodiversity found nowhere else. To understand mountains is to understand the beating heart of the planet. Let us begin with the most famous of them all, Mount Everest. At 8,849 meters, It is the highest point on Earth, where the sky meets stone. Standing on its peak is standing in a place where air is thin and survival is fragile. Climbing Everest has become a symbol of human determination, a test of endurance against some of the harshest conditions imaginable. But Everest is more than a mountaineer's trophy. For the people of Nepal and Tibet, it is sacred, known as Sagarmatha or Chamalungma, Mother of the World. It is not just rock and ice, but a deity, a living presence that commands respect. Strangely, Everest is not the tallest mountain when measured from base to summit. That honor belongs to Mauna Kea in Hawaii, which rises over 10,000 meters from its underwater base. Though only 4,200 meters are visible above sea level, Mauna Kea is both a geological wonder and a cultural treasure. For native Hawaiians, it is a sacred place, connecting heaven and earth. For astronomers, it is one of the best stargazing spots on the planet, home to powerful observatories that peer into the cosmos. Here we see the dual role of mountains as spiritual anchors and as platforms for scientific discovery. Beyond individual peaks, entire ranges shape civilizations. The Himalayas, stretching across Nepal, Bhutan, India, China, and Pakistan, are not just mountains, but barriers that divide climates, cultures, and histories. They block cold winds from the north, creating fertile plains in South Asia where millions of people live. The Himalayas are the source of some of the greatest rivers in Asia, including the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Indus. Without these rivers, civilizations might never have flourished on the Indian subcontinent. Far to the west, the Alps stand as Europe's crown. Unlike the Himalayas, their peaks are more approachable, yet they too have shaped cultures. The Alps separate countries, languages, and histories. They are also a playground for tourism, luxury resorts, and winter sports, blending natural majesty with human leisure. Cities like Geneva, Innsbruck, and Chamonix thrive because of their proximity to these mountains. And beyond economy, the Alps have inspired centuries of art, music, and literature. To gaze upon the snow-capped peaks is to feel a poetic sense of scale, where human concerns shrink in the face of grandeur. Across the Atlantic, the Andes dominate South America, stretching for over 7,000 kilometers, the longest continental mountain range in the world. Here, cultures have thrived at extraordinary altitudes. The Inca built Machu Picchu on a mountain ridge, a city in the clouds that still captures imaginations today. In Bolivia, the Altiplano Plateau, framed by the Andes, is home to Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake in the world. These landscapes remind us that mountains are not obstacles to life, but habitats where people adapt in remarkable ways. Mountains are also storehouses of water. Glaciers, perched on high slopes, feed rivers that sustain billions. The melting snows of the Rockies, the Alps, and the Himalayas ensure that lowlands remain fertile. Yet this role is under threat. As the climate warms, glaciers retreat, reducing the freshwater supply that so many depend on. Mountains are not invincible. They are sensitive barometers of change. Their ecosystems are equally fragile. Because of their isolation, mountains often harbor unique plants and animals. The snow leopard prowls the Himalayan heights, almost invisible against snowy cliffs. The Andean condor soars over peaks with wingspans that can exceed 3 meters. In the Alps, edelweiss flowers bloom, symbols of resilience and beauty. Such species remind us that mountains are living landscapes, filled with creatures as rare as the peaks themselves. Mountains have also been stages for human drama. The Karakoram Range, home to K2, the second highest peak on Earth, is notorious for its danger. Unlike Everest, K2 has no gentle slopes, only sheer walls of ice and rock. Climbers call it the Savage Mountain, and for good reason. 1 in 4 who attempt its summit never return. Here, nature's power is absolute, a reminder that some places remain unconquered. In contrast, some mountains are embraced not for challenge, but for reverence. Mount Fuji in Japan is an almost perfect cone rising above Tokyo, a national symbol appearing in countless works of art. It is both a sacred Shinto site and a destination for millions of climbers every year. Its beauty is not in its height, but in its harmony, a balance of form that resonates deeply with culture and identity. Then there are mountains that seem to defy nature altogether. In Venezuela, the Tepuy Mountains rise as flat-topped plateaus, their cliffs sheer and unscalable. These islands in the sky are home to species found nowhere else, isolated for millions of years. It was from these mountains that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle drew inspiration for his novel, The Lost World, imagining dinosaurs surviving on their remote summits. In truth, what lives there is no less incredible plants that eat insects, frogs no larger than a fingernail, and landscapes that feel like another planet. Mountains are also tied to myths and legends. Mount Olympus in Greece was said to be the home of the gods, a place where Zeus and Athena ruled from the heavens. In Norse mythology, mountains marked the edges of the known world, barriers to realms of giants and spirits. Around the world, mountains often symbolize the meeting of earth and sky, the bridge between human and divine. From a scientific perspective, mountains reveal the restless nature of the earth. They are born from tectonic collisions when continents crash and crust folds upward. The Himalayas continue to rise even today as the Indian plate pushes into Asia. This movement, though slow, demonstrates the living geology of our planet. Mountains are not fixed monuments, but evolving features, still growing, still changing. Economically, mountains are treasure troves. They hold minerals, forests, and fresh water. The Andes provide copper, the Rockies yield gold and silver, and the Himalayas hold untapped reserves of rare earth elements. Yet, this wealth comes with responsibility. Mining, deforestation, and overdevelopment can scar mountain ecosystems irreversibly. Sustainable management ensures that these guardians of the sky remain for future generations. Tourism, too, plays a role in mountain economies. Luxury lodges in the Alps, trekking routes in Nepal, ski resorts in Colorado, and sacred pilgrimages to Mount Kailash Mountains attract people in ways few other landscapes can. They offer not only adventure, but also reflection, a chance to stand above the world and feel its vastness. In a busy, modern age, mountains remain places of stillness, where one can find perspective. In their silence and strength, mountains teach us resilience. They endure storms, winds, and ages, standing as metaphors for endurance and patience. To gaze upon them is to remember that life is both fleeting and eternal, that we too are part of a larger cycle. As our journey continues, we leave behind the guardians of the sky and turn our gaze to the seas, the vast, mysterious oceans that cover more than 2/3 of the earth. If mountains rise as pillars of stone, oceans spread as blankets of blue, hiding worlds beneath their waves. Within them lies another universe of geography, life, and mystery waiting to be explored. If mountains are the guardians of the sky, then oceans are the breath and pulse of our planet. They are the Earth's great reservoirs of life and mystery, covering more than 70% of the globe and shaping every aspect of our climate, economy, and culture. When we think of geography, it is easy to focus on land and continents, borders, and cities, but the truth is that most of our planet is liquid, an endless expanse of blue that still remains largely unexplored. Standing on the shore and gazing at the horizon, one might feel that the ocean is empty. Yet, beneath its surface lies a world more diverse, more ancient, and more surprising than anything on land. The oceans hold mountains taller than Everest, trenches deeper than the Grand Canyon, and ecosystems stranger than the most alien landscapes of science fiction. To understand the oceans is to understand the very engine of the Earth itself. Let us begin with scale. The Pacific Ocean alone covers more area than all the continents combined. It is vast beyond comprehension, stretching from Asia to the Americas, dotted with thousands of islands that each hold their own cultures and histories. In its center lie places like Polynesia and Micronesia, where voyagers once navigated without compasses, using only the stars, the currents, and the flight of seabirds. This mastery of geography and astronomy allowed humans to settle some of the most remote places on Earth, thousands of years before GPS satellites. Beneath the surface, the Pacific hides the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth. At Challenger Deep, the ocean floor plunges to nearly 11,000 meters below sea level. To put that in perspective, if Mount Everest were placed in the trench, its peak would still be over a kilometer underwater. The pressure at that depth is so intense that unprotected human bodies would be crushed instantly. Yet life endures. Their strange, ghostly creatures adapted to the crushing dark, proving that nature's resilience knows no bounds. But oceans are not just about mystery. They are also about rhythm and flow. The great currents of the sea act as conveyor belts, moving heat and nutrients across the globe. The Gulf Stream, for instance, carries warm waters from the tropics toward Europe, ensuring that places like London or Paris enjoy relatively mild climates despite being at northern latitudes. Without this circulation, Europe might feel more like Siberia, its cities frozen under harsher winters. The oceans, in essence, act as Earth's climate regulators, softening extremes and allowing civilizations to flourish. Economically, oceans are the lifeblood of trade. Nearly 90% of international goods are transported by sea. Container ships cross the world's waters every day, moving everything from oil and grain to electronics and luxury goods. Major ports, Shanghai, Singapore, Rotterdam, Los Angeles, thrive because of their access to maritime routes. Globalization itself would be impossible without the oceans, which connect continents far more efficiently than any land route. Yet, oceans are more than highways of commerce. They are also reservoirs of resources. They provide fish that feed billions, salt that seasons our food, and minerals extracted from their floors. In recent years, there has been growing interest in deep-sea mining for rare earth elements, essential for technologies like smartphones, electric cars, and renewable energy systems. This pursuit, however, raises questions of sustainability, for the ecosystems of the deep are delicate and little understood. To harvest recklessly could mean destroying habitats before we even know they exist. Culturally, oceans have always been mirrors of human imagination. In ancient times, they were feared as realms of monsters and gods. The Greeks told of Poseidon, lord of the seas, whose trident could shake the earth. In Norse mythology, the Midgard serpent encircled the world beneath the waves. Even today, myths persist, legends of mermaids, ghost ships, and the fabled lost city of Atlantis, thought by some to rest beneath the Atlantic. Whether or not these stories hold truth, they reveal our enduring sense of awe toward the unknown depths. Oceans are also sanctuaries of life. Coral reefs, often called the rainforests of the sea, are among the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia, visible even from space, stretches over 2,300 kilometers and is home to thousands of species of fish, corals, and marine mammals. These reefs are not just beautiful. They are essential. They protect coastlines from erosion, provide breeding grounds for fish, and support tourism economies worth billions. Yet they are fragile, sensitive to rising ocean temperatures and acidification caused by human activity. Strangely enough, the tallest mountains on Earth are not on land, but hidden beneath the sea. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge, an underwater mountain range, runs down the center of the Atlantic Ocean, longer than any continental range. Here, tectonic plates pull apart, creating new crust and reshaping the ocean floor. It is a reminder that oceans are dynamic landscapes, constantly shifting beneath their shimmering surfaces. Then there are the enigmatic phenomena of the sea currents, tides, and waves that follow cosmic rhythms. Tides are caused by the gravitational pull of the moon and the sun, and they dictate life along coasts. Entire ecosystems depend on these cycles. Crabs that scuttle out during low tide, fish that spawn in tidal pools, and humans who have long used the tides for fishing and navigation. To live near the ocean is to live by its clock. The power of oceans can also be devastating. Unleash waves that can travel across entire oceans at jet-like speeds. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami remains one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history, reminding us that the ocean, while life-giving, also holds immense destructive force. Storm surges, hurricanes, and cyclones are likewise born from the sea, fueled by its warm waters. These events shape coastal geographies and economies, influencing where people can safely live and build. Despite their size, oceans remain largely unexplored. More humans have walked on the surface of the moon than have reached the depths of the Mariana Trench. Estimates suggest that we have mapped only about 20% of the ocean floor in detail. This means that there are still mountains, trenches, and ecosystems unknown to us, waiting in the darkness. Some scientists believe that the deep ocean may even hold cures for diseases, hidden in the unique adaptations of its creatures. In this way, oceans are both frontiers of discovery and guardians of secrets. Tourism and culture, too, are deeply tied to the seas. Think of luxury cruises gliding across the Mediterranean or diving adventures in the Red Sea. Think of cultural cities like Venice, built upon lagoons, or Tokyo, whose harbor connects Japan to the world. Coastal tourism contributes billions to economies, offering recreation, travel, and cultural exchange. For many, the ocean is not just geography, but a lifestyle, a place to surf, to fish, to sail, or simply to listen to waves as they meet the shore. And then there are the island's small jewels scattered across the oceans, each with its own unique geography. The Maldives, with their turquoise atolls, stand as a luxury paradise for travelers, yet they are also among the most vulnerable places to rising sea levels. Iceland, born of fire and ice, straddles the mid-Atlantic ridge and harnesses geothermal power from its volcanic roots. Islands tell stories of survival, culture, and adaptations, worlds shaped entirely by the ocean's embrace. Perhaps the most poetic truth about oceans is their connection to us as living beings. Our own bodies are mostly water, our blood salinity not far removed from seawater. Life itself began in the oceans billions of years ago, when simple organisms evolved into the ancestors of all creatures alive today. Every breath we take is partly a gift from the oceans. For phytoplankton, tiny plants drifting in seawater produce at least half of the oxygen on Earth. In a very real sense, the oceans breathe with us, their rhythms tied to our survival. But the oceans are also in peril. Pollution, from plastic waste to oil spills, threatens marine life. Climate change warms waters, bleaches reefs, and melts polar ice. Overfishing depletes stocks, upsetting ecosystems that have balanced for millennia. These challenges remind us that while the oceans seem infinite, they are not immune to human impact. Protecting them is not just an environmental duty, but a matter of survival for humanity. To drift into sleep with thoughts of the ocean is to imagine a world both vast and intimate. The sound of waves, the shimmer of moonlight on water. The deep unknown of the abyssal of it connects us to something timeless and universal. Oceans are not simply geography. They are the soul of the planet, the blue heart that sustains and inspires all life. As our journey flows forward, we leave behind the rolling waves and turn toward the sands of the earth. Deserts, those paradoxical landscapes of emptiness and abundance, await us. Though barren at first glance, they hold secrets of survival, stories of ancient civilizations, and wonders as extraordinary as any ocean. Let us step from the waters onto the dunes, into the stillness of deserts, where silence tells its own geography. Where the oceans are endless waves of water, deserts are endless waves of sand, stone, and silence. They may seem like opposites, yet both are vast, mysterious realms that shape human history and geography in profound ways. At first glance, deserts look empty, harsh landscapes where life should not exist. Yet, when we look closer, we discover ecosystems of resilience, cultures of endurance, and landscapes that are some of the most breathtaking on Earth. The very definition of a desert is not just sand. It is dryness, an environment that receives less than 25 centimeters of rainfall per year. By this measure, deserts cover more than 1/5 of Earth's surface. They are not all hot and golden. They are diverse, from the icy reaches of Antarctica, classified as the largest desert on the planet, to the fiery dunes of the Sahara. Each desert tells its own story of adaptation, survival, and beauty. Let us begin with the Sahara, perhaps the most iconic desert. Spanning across 11 countries in North Africa, it is nearly the size of the United States. A vast sea of sand dunes, rocky plateaus, and hidden oases. The dunes themselves, some towering over 150 meters, shift constantly with the wind, sculpting landscapes that seem alive. Despite its harshness, the Sahara has been a corridor of trade for centuries. The ancient trans-Saharan caravans carried gold, salt, and ivory, linking sub-Saharan Africa with the Mediterranean world. Camels, known as the ships of the desert, were central to this economy, able to cross hundreds of miles with little water. The Sahara, then, is not emptiness, but a geography of commerce and connection. One might think of deserts as lifeless, but they are in fact home to remarkable biodiversity. In the Sahara, species like the fennec fox with its oversized ears, or the addax antelope with its spiraling horns, thrive in conditions that seem impossible for survival. These creatures conserve water with extraordinary efficiency, turning scarcity into sustenance. Even humans have adapted ingeniously. The Tuareg people, with their indigo robes and nomadic traditions, have for centuries navigated the desert's vastness, guided by stars and oral maps passed down through generations. Beyond the Sahara, the Arabian Desert stretches across the Middle East, covering much of Saudi Arabia, Oman, and the UAE. Here, sand seas, known as ergs, extend for hundreds of kilometers. This region is not just a geographical marvel, but also an economic powerhouse, sitting atop some of the world's richest oil reserves. What was once seen as barren land has become the foundation of modern global economies, driving industries, technology, and luxury markets. The juxtaposition is striking. Skyscrapers in Dubai rise out of what was once empty desert, symbols of wealth built upon ancient sands. Not all deserts are hot. Antarctica, as mentioned, is the largest desert in the world. It may seem strange to call a land of ice a desert, but its extremely low precipitation qualifies it. This frozen desert is perhaps the most extreme landscape of all, with katabatic winds that can reach over 200 kilometers per hour and temperatures plunging below -80 degrees Celsius. Yet, even here, life exists. Penguins, seals, and hardy lichens survive in this frigid desert. And beneath its ice, like lakes that have been sealed for millions of years, holding ecosystems untouched by time. The Antarctic desert reminds us that deserts are not merely sand, they are any land, where water is rare and survival requires ingenuity. In contrast, the Atacama Desert in Chile is often called the driest place on Earth. Some weather stations there have never recorded rainfall. Its landscapes, stark and otherworldly, are so barren that NASA has tested Mars rovers in its soil, finding conditions similar to the red planet. Yet, the Atacama is also rich in resources. It contains some of the largest deposits of copper and lithium, essential for modern technology like smartphones, electric cars, and renewable energy systems. A place that seems lifeless is, in fact, central to the global economy. Deserts also hold some of humanity's greatest mysteries. In Peru's Nazca Desert, the Nazca lines stretch across the ground giant geoglyphs of animals, plants, and geometric shapes etched into the soil around 500 BCE. Visible only from the sky, their purpose remains debated. Were they ritual pathways, astronomical markers, or messages to the gods? These desert artworks remind us that human culture thrives even in the most unforgiving places, and that deserts often preserve history better than fertile lands, where time erases more quickly. The Gobi Desert of Mongolia and northern China tells another story. Unlike sandy deserts, the Gobi is a land of rock and gravel, harsh winds, and extreme temperature swings. It has been a crossroads of history, traversed by Silk Road traders and Mongol horsemen. Even today, it reveals fossils of dinosaurs, some of the most important paleontological finds in the world. The Gobi, barren to the untrained eye, is in fact a treasure chest of Earth's ancient past. Culturally, deserts inspire awe and spirituality. In religious texts, deserts are places of testing and revelation. Moses in the Sinai, Jesus in a wilderness, Muhammad receiving visions near Mecca. The emptiness of the desert becomes a canvas for reflection, a place where silence and vastness strip away distraction. Modern travelers, too, often speak of deserts as places of profound peace, where the horizon stretches endlessly and stars shine brighter than anywhere else on Earth. Economically, deserts are paradoxical, both barren and abundant. On one hand, they challenge human survival with limited water. On the other, they provide resources like oil, minerals, and solar energy. The Sahara, for example, receives more sunlight in one day than many countries use in a year, making it a potential hub for renewable energy projects. Imagine deserts as power plants, harnessing the very heat and light that make them inhospitable, transforming them into engines of sustainability for future economies. Tourism, too, thrives in deserts. Travelers seek the surreal beauty of the dunes in Namibia, the vast salt flats of Bolivia, or the golden horizons of Morocco. Luxury desert resorts, blending tradition with modern comfort, invite visitors to experience the magic of the sands without the hardship of survival. Camel treks, dune bashing, and desert festivals turn these barren landscapes into cultural playgrounds. The appeal lies in the contrast, the harshness of the environment softened by the richness of human creativity. But deserts are also fragile. Desertification, the spread of deserts into fertile land, threatens millions of people around the world. Overgrazing, deforestation, and climate change can strip soil of its vitality, turning farmlands into barren dust. The Sahel region of Africa, a band between the Sahara and Savannah, faces this challenge acutely. Efforts like the Great Green Wall Project, which aims to plant millions of trees across Africa. Our attempts to hold back the advancing desert, to balance human need with natural sustainability. One of the most striking features of deserts is their silence. In many deserts, the absence of trees, rivers, and constant human activity means that sound travels differently. Some deserts even have singing dunes, where the shifting sands produce low, resonant hums, like the earth itself is breathing. To sit in the desert at night beneath a canopy of stars is to feel both incredibly small and deeply connected to the universe. The desert does not just shape geography, it shapes philosophy and perception. Even cities in deserts reflect human ingenuity. Cairo, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Riyadh, Limahl stand as testaments to our ability to build in unlikely places. These cities rely on careful management of water, whether through rivers like the Nile, aquifers hidden underground, or advanced technologies like desalination plants. They prove that deserts, while harsh, are not uninhabitable. They simply demand respect and creativity from those who would call them home. When we think of deserts as empty, we misunderstand them. They are full of stories of survival, trade, spirituality, and transformation. Of the thin line between scarcity and abundance, deserts hold the world's oldest fossils, its most dazzling stars, and its most ancient trade routes. They may appear silent, but they are speaking if we listen carefully. As we close this chapter of deserts, we are reminded that geography is about contrasts. From the roaring oceans to the hushed sands, Earth offers landscapes that challenge and inspire. Now, let us turn from the dryness of deserts to the lushness of rivers, those winding lifelines that carve valleys, nurture civilizations, and connect mountains to the sea. If deserts are the stillness of the earth, rivers are its flowing song. If deserts are the silent kingdoms of sand, then rivers are the veins of the earth, carrying life across continents, shaping landscapes, and nurturing civilizations. Where rivers flow, humanity flourishes. From the banks of the Nile to the mighty Amazon, rivers have provided water, fertile soil, transportation, and inspiration. To speak of rivers is to speak of the foundations of culture, economy, travel, and even spirituality. Rivers are, at their essence, moving bodies of fresh water, winding their way from high mountains to low valleys, from springs to seas. They erode rock, carve canyons, and deposit rich sediments that create the world's most fertile farmland. But beyond their physical role, rivers are cultural storytellers. They carry myths, legends, and histories as surely as they carry water. They are nature's bridges between landscapes and between generations. Let us begin with perhaps the most famous of all, the Nile. Stretching more than 6,600 kilometers, it is often called the longest river in the world. For thousands of years, it has been Egypt's lifeline. Without the Nile, ancient Egypt could not have existed. Each year, its predictable floods deposited black silt along its banks, turning desert soil into fertile farmland. This seasonal rhythm shaped Egyptian calendars, agriculture, and even religion. The Nile was seen as a divine gift, with gods like Hapi personifying its floods. Cities, temples, and pyramids rose along its banks, and pharaohs proclaimed their connection to its sacred waters. Even today, Cairo and Khartoum depend on the Nile, proving that this ancient river still sustains millions. Across the ocean lies another giant, the Amazon. While the Nile is longer, the Amazon is by far the largest in volume, discharging more water into the Atlantic Ocean than the next 7 largest rivers combined. Its basin covers nearly 7 million square kilometers across South America, making it the most expansive drainage system on Earth. The Amazon rainforest, nourished by this river, is home to unparalleled biodiversity. Over 10% of the world's known species live here. The river is not only a natural wonder, but also an economic artery, enabling transportation across vast distances where roads are scarce. It provides fish, water, and connection for indigenous communities whose lives remain intertwined with its rhythms. The Amazon's sheer scale reminds us of Earth's capacity for abundance. Some rivers are celebrated not just for size, but for culture. The Ganges in India is more than a river. It is a goddess. For Hindus, the Ganga is sacred, a river of purification and rebirth. Millions travel to its banks to bathe, to pray, and to scatter ashes, believing its waters wash away sins and bring liberation. Its basin, one of the most fertile in the world, sustains nearly 500 million people. Yet, the Ganges is also a reminder of the challenges rivers face. Pollution, overuse, and climate change threaten its flow. Still, its spiritual and cultural significance continues to draw reverence, showing how rivers are as much symbols as they are resources. Travel east, and you will find the Yangtze, the longest river in Asia and third longest in the world. Flowing over 6,300 kilometers, it is central to China's economy, culture, and history. The Yangtze supports 1/3 of China's population, irrigating rice fields, providing hydroelectric power, and serving as a major trade route. The Three Gorges Dam, built on its waters, is the largest hydroelectric dam in the world, symbolizing both the power and the cost of harnessing rivers for human use. Along its banks, cities like Chongqing and Wuhan thrive, while cultural treasures such as ancient temples and stilt villages remind us that the Yangtze has been a cradle of civilization for millennia. The Mississippi in the United States tells a different story of commerce and music, of steamboats and southern cities. Stretching 3,766 kilometers, it drains 41% of the continental U.S., making it one of the largest river systems in the world. In the 19th century, the Mississippi was the backbone of American expansion, carrying cotton, grain, and goods to markets. It inspired literature, immortalized by Mark Twain's tales of riverboats and drifting boys. Today, the Mississippi remains vital to agriculture, industry, and tourism, though it also faces ecological challenges like flooding and pollution. Its waters embody both the abundance and complexity of human development. In Europe, the Danube stands out as a river of unity, flowing through 10 countries. From Germany to Romania, it connects cultures, economies, and histories. Its waters have been both battlegrounds and bridges, shaping empires from the Romans to the Austro-Hungarians. Today, the Danube is celebrated for its beauty, with cities like Vienna, Budapest, and Belgrade rising along its banks. It is also a vital waterway for tourism, with river cruises carrying travelers through landscapes of castles, vineyards, and old-world charm. The Danube shows how rivers can be international corridors of culture and cooperation. Not all rivers are vast, but some are unique. The Colorado River in the United States carved the Grand Canyon, one of the most breathtaking landscapes on Earth. Over millions of years, its waters cut through layers of rock, exposing a geological story 2 billion years old. The canyon itself is a living classroom of Earth's history, and the Colorado continues to provide water to millions across the American West. Yet, it is also a river under pressure, overdrawn by agriculture and cities, reminding us of the delicate balance between use and preservation. Another example is Africa's Congo River, second only to the Amazon in volume. Flowing through the heart of Central Africa, it is both a natural wonder and a formidable obstacle. Its rapids and waterfalls make navigation difficult, yet its waters provide enormous hydroelectric potential, including the Inga Dam project, which could power much of the continent. The Congo Basin rainforest, nourished by the river, is the second largest in the world, crucial for biodiversity and climate regulation. The Congo is wild, powerful, and essential a reminder of nature's raw force. Rivers also inspire mythology and art. The Styx in Greek mythology was the boundary between the world of the living and the dead, its waters sacred to oaths sworn by the gods. In Norse myths, rivers separated realms, while in Celtic tradition, rivers were gateways to the other world. Artists, poets, and musicians across centuries have celebrated rivers as symbols of time, life, and continuity. To sit by a river is to feel its flow as both physical and metaphorical journey that never ends. Economically, rivers have been central to trade and luxury. Ancient cities like Mesopotamia's Ur and Babylon rose between the Tigris and Euphrates, rivers whose fertile floodplains birthed agriculture itself. The Indus Valley civilization thrived along its namesake river, developing advanced urban planning and trade networks. In modern times, rivers remain vital for transportation, irrigation, energy, and even tourism. From luxury river cruises on the Rhine to bustling ports on the Mekong, rivers generate billions in global economy while shaping regional cultures. Ecologically, rivers are fragile. Pollution from industry, agriculture, and cities contaminates waters, threatening species and human health. Dams and diversions alter natural flows, disrupting fish migrations and ecosystems. Climate change affects glacial rivers, with melting ice altering water supplies for millions. Yet, efforts to restore and protect rivers show hope. Initiatives like the cleanup of the Thames in London, once declared biologically dead, but now home again to fish and birds, prove that rivers can recover if cared for. Travelers often describe rivers as places of calm and contemplation. To walk along the Seine in Paris, to drift on the Mekong in Laos, or to listen to the murmurs of the Thames at night is to experience geography in its most intimate form. Rivers connect us not only physically, but emotionally. They remind us of time's passage, of journeys taken, of life's continuity. The silence of deserts and the flowing song of rivers, these are the contrasts that shape Earth's geography. One teaches endurance, the other teaches movement. One demands stillness, the other celebrates flow. Both, however, are essential. Without rivers, there would be no fertile fields, no great cities, no civilizations. They are not just lifelines of the planet, they are lifelines of humanity itself. As we leave rivers behind, we turn toward another crucial element of geography, the world's mountains. If rivers are the veins of the earth, mountains are its bones, rising skyward as monuments of strength and wonder. They, too, tell stories of nature, culture, and survival. And so we journey upward toward the peaks of the world, where the air thins and the horizons widen. Mountains rise like ancient guardians of the earth, their peaks touching the sky, their roots reaching deep into the planet's crust. They are more than geographic features. They are symbols of endurance, spiritual inspiration, and natural beauty. From the snow-capped Himalayas to the rugged Andes, mountains are where the planet reveals its power, mystery, and majesty. For as long as humans have looked upward, mountains have drawn awe, fear, and reverence. At their essence, mountains are formed by tectonic forces. When plates collide, fold, or erupt with volcanic fire, the earth reshapes itself, pushing land upward into dramatic elevations. These forces of geology are slow and relentless, measured in millions of years. Yet, their results are striking. Mountains define continents, alter climates, and sustain ecosystems found nowhere else. They are not only monuments of stone and ice, they are cradles of culture, economy, tourism, and history. The Himalayas, often called the roof of the world, are the highest mountain range on Earth. They stretch across 5 countries: India, Nepal, Bhutan, China, and Pakistan, and contain all of the planet's 14 peaks above 8,000 meters, including Mount Everest, which towers at 8,848 meters. For centuries, Everest was a mythical place, a peak beyond reach. It wasn't until 1953 that Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay became the first to summit it. Today, Everest has become both a pilgrimage and a challenge, attracting climbers from across the world, but also raising questions about sustainability, tourism, and the fragile balance of high-altitude environments. Still, the Himalayas remain sacred in many traditions, revered as the home of gods, the birthplace of rivers, and the spiritual axis of Asia. In South America, the Andes stretch for 7,000 kilometers, making them the longest continental mountain range in the world. The Andes are a spine of culture and nature, shaping civilizations from the ancient Inca Empire to modern-day nations. At their heart lies Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas, perched high above the sacred valley. These mountains are also a geological treasure, rich in minerals like silver and copper, which have fueled economies and industries. The Andes influence weather patterns across the continent and host unique ecosystems, from the arid Atacama Desert to the lush cloud forests of Peru. They are a reminder that mountains are both barriers and bridges. The Alps in Europe tell a different story. Not as high as the Himalayas or Andes, but deeply influential in European culture, economy, and travel. They stretch across 8 countries, from France to Slovenia, and are synonymous with both natural beauty and luxury. Villages like Zermatt and Chamonix offer access to iconic peaks like the Matterhorn and Mont Blanc. In winter, the Alps become playgrounds for skiing, tourism, and alpine culture, drawing millions of visitors. Economically, they are vital, supporting agriculture, hydropower, and global tourism. Culturally, they have inspired music, art, and literature, with romantic poets and painters finding endless inspiration in their snow-covered slopes. The Alps remind us that mountains can be both wild landscapes and cultural heartlands. Africa, too, is home to striking mountains. Kilimanjaro, rising from the plains of Tanzania, is the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. Its snow-capped summit, visible from miles away, has inspired legends and dreams. Unlike many mountain ranges formed by tectonic collisions, Kilimanjaro is volcanic. Its 3 volcanic cones telling a story of fire beneath the earth. Its slopes transition from savanna to rainforest, alpine desert to icy summit, making it a microcosm of ecosystems. Climbers often describe the journey as walking from the equator to the poles in a matter of days. Kilimanjaro is also under threat, with its glaciers retreating rapidly due to climate change. A sobering reminder of the fragility of even the mightiest mountains. In North America, the Rocky Mountains span over 4,800 kilometers from Canada to New Mexico. They are rugged, dramatic, and iconic, shaping both indigenous cultures and modern nations. The Rockies are central to North America's identity, celebrated in songs, literature, and national parks, where wildlife such as bears, elk, and eagles roam freely. The Rockies also fuel economies through tourism, skiing, and natural resources. Yet they are also places of solitude, where travelers can find peace in alpine lakes, towering forests, and endless horizons. They remind us that mountains are sanctuaries for both nature and spirit. Not all mountains are vast ranges. Some stand alone as icons. Mount Fuji in Japan is one such peak, rising gracefully to 3,776 meters. Fuji is not the tallest mountain in the world, but it may be one of the most beautiful and culturally significant. For centuries, it has been a sacred site in Shinto and Buddhist traditions, a place of pilgrimage and inspiration for art. Its nearly perfect conical shape, often capped with snow, has been depicted in countless paintings, poems, and photographs. For Japan, Fuji is not just a mountain, it is a symbol of national identity, resilience, and beauty. Mountains also create cultures of resilience. The people who live among them adapt to challenging environments, developing unique traditions, agriculture, and lifestyles. In the Himalayas, Sherpa communities thrive at high altitudes, guiding climbers and practicing mountain farming. In the Andes, Quechua and Aymara peoples have cultivated terraces and domesticated crops like potatoes and quinoa, transforming rugged slopes into fertile farms. In the Alps, alpine herders move cattle seasonally, producing cheese and dairy that define European cuisines. These mountain cultures are rich in history and wisdom, teaching us how to live in harmony with demanding landscapes. Beyond their physical and cultural importance, mountains are vital ecological systems. They are often called water towers of the world. As glaciers and snowpacks store fresh water that feeds rivers and sustains billions of people downstream. The Himalayas feed the Ganges, Yangtze, and Mekong. The Andes feed the Amazon and Orinoco. The Rockies feed the Colorado and Missouri. Without mountains, global water systems would collapse. They are also biodiversity hotspots, hosting species adapted to unique conditions: snow leopards in Asia, condors in South America, marmots in Europe. Protecting mountains means protecting the life that flows from them. Spiritually, mountains are places of transcendence. Across cultures, they are seen as bridges between earth and sky, humans and gods. Mount Olympus in Greece was home to Zeus and the pantheon of deities. Mount Sinai in the Middle East is where Moses received the Ten Commandments. In Buddhism, Mount Kailash in Tibet is considered the axis of the universe, a sacred pilgrimage site. In indigenous traditions worldwide, mountains are sacred ancestors, protectors, and storytellers. To climb a mountain is often seen as a spiritual act, a journey of both body and soul. Yet mountains are also fragile. Climate change is melting glaciers, threatening water supplies and ecosystems. Tourism, if unmanaged, can erode trails and overwhelm communities. Mining and deforestation damage fragile slopes. Earthquakes and landslides remind us of their raw, unpredictable power. Protecting mountains is not only about preserving scenery, it's about safeguarding the resources, cultures, and histories they sustain. Economically, mountains are deeply tied to travel, luxury, and global culture. Ski resorts in the Alps, Rockies, and Japan generate billions in tourism. Mountain destinations attract adventurers seeking hiking, climbing, and exploration, as well as travelers seeking luxury lodges, spas, and retreats. At the same time, mountains supply minerals, timber, and water, supporting industries and economies. They are both playgrounds of the wealthy and lifelines of the poor, showing the diverse roles geography plays in global development. As the sun sets behind jagged peaks or rises over snowy summits, mountains remind us of time itself. They are ancient, enduring, yet ever-changing. They tell stories of Earth's past, of cultures that thrived among them, of travelers who crossed or climbed them, of myths that gave them voices. To see a mountain is to feel small, yet also connected to something vast and eternal. And so, as we close this journey across geography, through deserts and rivers, forests and islands, cities and mountains, we return to the essence of this exploration. The Earth is not only a planet of places, it is a planet of wonders. Every fact we've shared is more than trivia, is a glimpse into the extraordinary tapestry of life, culture, and history that surrounds us. If you are drifting into sleep now, let the mountains be your final image. Silent peaks under starlight, ancient and enduring, watching over valleys and rivers, deserts and seas. They are reminders that the world is both vast and intimate, full of stories waiting to be discovered. And perhaps, tomorrow, as you wake, you will see your own corner of the world with new wonder, shaped by the geography that connects us all.